Okay, so we're ready to solidify this now. So let's change layer so that we can see the resultant shapes in different color. Okay, and then we're looking for the extrude curve command. So extrude CRV. Okay, let's take the simplest shape there first and enter. And what you're wanting to make sure is that you have the solid option answering yes. So turn into solid, yes. Okay, the extrusion distance for this object is just 10 millimeters above, but we can pick points on the geometry that's already there. Okay, we need to check that that has done it and has solidified it. So if you hit your middle mouse button, or you can render using this button. So middle mouse button, render. Okay, looks solid to me. We can stay in this solid view. Okay, we'll take this shape and extrude it to this point. So extrude CRV. Take this shape, enter, and we can select the corner of the box. Okay, turn it around, just have a little look, make sure everything's doing okay. Okay, next one is this shape. Let's press enter to bring back your command, pick the shape, enter, and we're going to the top point up here. Okay, now we're having trouble seeing inside. Okay, so we'll need to go back to 2D wireframe. Okay, you can access that through here, wireframe viewport, so it's right click here, or middle mouse button, right click here. Okay, so we can see inside the shape now, but the shapes are just colliding with each other. So let's union the three that we've got so far. So it's solid, union, and if you pick the three new solids and enter, we should start to see the shapes merging into each other. So we're getting a much more interesting form appearing inside. There's still the kind of a history of the way the solid was made, kind of imprinted around it. Okay, now we don't see that when we shade it, but we do see it in this wireframe view. Okay, so the history kind of disappears in the shaded views, but in the wireframe it does look quite unsightly. Okay, and then the last object is the small extrusion here, which needs extruded 180 millimeters. So it comes to this point. So we're taking 10 off here because we've moved it, and we're taking 10 off there. So it's extrude CRV. Okay, it's ready to go. It's looking for an extrusion point. We'll go to the inner corner there, and this time this object gets subtracted, and in Rhino terms that's called a difference. So it's solid, difference, pick your main solid first, enter, then pick the smaller shape that's getting subtracted. Okay, so that should have generated a slot. We should see darkness inside there. We're looking into the shape. We can just see down. Okay. Right. So what we'll try and do now is extract some 2D information from this. Let's get back to 2D wireframe. Okay, we'll go back to our top view and see what we can do as far as getting some 2D info from it. So I'm going to change layer just so that anything new comes into a layer that I can get hold of. Okay, so there's a few options here. If we go to curve from objects, section, okay, and then select the object for the section, it would be our solid, enter. So say we wanted a very simple section right down the middle vertically. Okay, so just pick start point for the section, endpoint for the section. Okay, and it's done. Okay, you can see the section is lurking inside there. We could then move that outwards, so we could use it, rotate it over onto the ground. Okay, but what we don't have is any background, it's just hollow. Okay, similarly, if we do a section vertically, so if we want to do a section in this direction, okay, and because these aren't looking in any particular direction, you just get the cut line at that point. So it would be curve from objects, section, so we're going this way this time. Oh, sorry, try that again. Select objects for the sections, enter, then set your section line. That's better. Okay, you can see the section there, and before it gets muddled in, we'll move that out so we can see it. Okay, but like I say, there's nothing visible below or above. We can't see any information. Okay, let's change layer again, just so the next ones come out different color. And what we can try now is generating some contours. This is quite a nice way of viewing the shape inside. So curve from objects, contour. Okay, select the object for the contours, enter. The base point, let's say we start our contours at the ground. It's asking for a direction for the contour, so if I want horizontal contours, my direction needs to be perpendicular to that, so a vertical position. And then say the distance between the contours, let's say 20, so we don't generate too many, so 20 millimeters, enter. There's our contours. Okay, we can move those out so we can see them. And if we look at the perspective view and we turn that around, you start to see the shape inside. Notice it's picked up the history of the shape on the top as well. So that top one's a bit that would certainly need edited. But we can just with this, even with this few number of contours, we can see the shape kind of curving in into the background there. Okay, now there's another kind of more automated thing you can use, and that's called Make 2D. Okay, but this has its limitations. It just views from the outside. So let's try Make 2D and see what happens with that one. So this is probably going to make its own layers anyway. So choosing a different layer there is not really necessary. So the command is Make 2D, enter, pick the object, enter. Okay, we would go for 4 views Europe. Okay, and let's move that out of the way. We can see what we've got. Okay, you can see the layers have been automatically generated. Okay, but obviously this is quite limited. It's just viewing the object from the outside, so there's not a heck of a lot to see. It's useful, but not a heck of a lot to see. So I'm going to save that, and I'm just going to open a slightly different version of this. Let's save this as modeled, and sectioned. Okay. And I'll open a slightly different version that's got the same model, but it's been broken up into chunks. So I've got one here called multiple portions. Okay, so I've taken the same model and I've just done Boolean differences on them to generate portions that are looking in different directions. Okay, so I've got kind of plans effectively looking up and down, etc. And you know, what we could do is make 2D on this. So this is going to generate a lot of stuff. So make 2D, grab all of these, enter, 4 views, OK. Okay. So we've got all sorts of things that we can add onto here. These have all been kind of default added, so I think they're all going to show. Oh, actually, here we go. No, put the ticks on for everything there, just to generate a lot more information. Okay, let's move these before we get all messed up. Okay, so you see it's generated a lot more 2D info. Okay, but it's kind of all overlapping each other, which is a wee bit awkward. Okay, so what we would need to do is kind of reposition the objects first, so that there's some kind of cascade. So I think this kind of positioning would work best. Nothing can be overlapping the previous object. Okay, so it's got a chance to generate views from the 4 sides. Okay, so if you give that a go, so we'll make 2D again. Might help if they were kind of all at the same level, but they're looking not too bad. So make 2D, but we'll get rid of these layers just now, and I think we can delete all those. Yep, bye bye. Okay, so we'll make 2D, grab all the objects and enter. Okay, we've got ticks on for everything. I'm going to turn this one off so it generates its own layers instead. Okay, so spread things out a bit more now, but that's not a problem. It's just a case of moving things around. Okay, but it's tricky. It's difficult to kind of see what's going on here. We've got a lot of hidden information as well. The ISO lines in some places are showing up. This is looking a bit bizarre, isn't it? The 3D ones are probably not much use there, so probably delete those. Just get those out of it straight away. And then you're kind of looking at this and seeing which bits you can use, which bits are not much use. Okay, there's a lot of 2D stuff generated automatically there. You'd export that to AutoCAD and then work your way through what's in the background or what's in the foreground, but it's a bit tricky. So what we'll do is we'll take the model from Rhino into AutoCAD, and I'll show you another sectioning tool that's got a bit more control. It allows you to kind of sort things out and determine which views you want, instead of it just kind of firing tons of views. This is a little bit clumsy, isn't it? A bit messy. But it's fast, and it's up to you if you want to do more editing afterwards, or set up something a bit more control to start off with. So what we'll do is export just the 2D shapes from the original drawing. So I'm going to save this as portions made 2D, so people can see that later on, and go back to our drawing, which was modelled and sectioned. Actually, shapes drawn would suffice. It's these that I need to export to AutoCAD. So I'm going to grab these and then File, Export Selected as an AutoCAD DWG, if I can find it. AutoCAD DWG, and I'm just going to call this the curves, and just drop them onto my desktop. Okay, so we'll pick this up again in AutoCAD next, and we'll show you how you can section the model using that software instead.